Roman Reigns just made WWE $15 million poorer, and they might not even realize it yet. While fans celebrate his rare appearances as special attractions, behind the scenes, corporate executives are asking a question that could change everything. Is the Tribal Chief's part-time deal actually killing WWE's momentum? What I'm about to reveal about Reigns' current situation will shock you, and it explains why WWE's biggest star might also be their biggest problem. Stick around, because the evidence I've uncovered suggests we're witnessing the beginning of the end of an era, and WWE knows it. For over a decade, Roman Reigns has been the face that runs the place, the cornerstone of WWE's empire, and the man who carried the company through its most challenging periods. But here's what most fans don't see. Behind the mystique and the carefully crafted special attraction status lies a business reality that's becoming harder to ignore. Since his 2022 contract restructure, Reigns has transformed from WWE's most reliable workhorse into their most expensive part-timer. And while his infrequent appearances generate massive buzz, they're also creating unprecedented challenges that threaten to undermine everything WWE has built around him. Today, I'm breaking down the 3 critical problems that WWE faces with Roman Reigns, problems that go far deeper than just scheduling conflicts. We'll explore how his limited availability is disrupting long-term storytelling, why his massive contract might not be sustainable under WWE's new corporate structure, and most importantly, how WWE can navigate the inevitable transition away from the Reigns era without losing their audience. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the next 2 years might be the most crucial in determining both Reigns' legacy and WWE's future direction. Here's something that will blow your mind. Roman Reigns' part-time schedule isn't just affecting his own storylines, it's systematically destroying WWE's ability to tell coherent, long-term stories across their entire product. And the Paul Heyman betrayal at WrestleMania 40 is the perfect example of how this problem has spiraled out of control. Picture this. You're watching what many consider one of the greatest WrestleMania moments in recent memory. Paul Heyman, the man who stood by Roman Reigns through thick and thin, shockingly turns on the Tribal Chief in favor of Cody Rhodes. The crowd erupts, social media explodes, and everyone's asking the same question: what happens next? But here's the kicker: nothing happened next. 4 months. Roman disappeared, Paul disappeared, and fans were left hanging with zero resolution to one of the most emotionally charged moments in recent WWE history. This isn't just bad storytelling, it's a fundamental breakdown of the psychological contract between WWE and its audience. Modern wrestling fans have been conditioned to expect immediate fallout, weekly progression, and emotional payoffs. When you create a massive story beat like the Heyman betrayal and then go radio silent for months, you're not building mystique, you're breaking trust. The excitement that should have carried WWE through the summer completely evaporated, leaving creatives scrambling to rebuild momentum that had already peaked. But the problem runs even deeper than individual storylines. WWE operates in a content ecosystem that demands daily engagement. Social media, weekly television, premium live events, everything is interconnected, and when your central figure vanishes for extended periods, it creates a domino effect that disrupts the entire narrative structure. The Bloodline, once the most dominant faction in modern wrestling, began to fracture without its anchor. Solo Sikoa stepped up admirably, but the power vacuum was undeniable. New storylines felt incomplete, existing rivalries lost steam, and WWE found themselves constantly playing catch-up to their own creative decisions. What's particularly frustrating is that this model worked brilliantly when Roman was the ultimate heel. His absence made the Bloodline feel more mysterious and powerful. They were doing the Tribal Chief's bidding even when he wasn't there. But the moment Roman transitions into any other role, especially one requiring consistent heroic presence or emotional resonance, the part-time schedule becomes a creative straitjacket. You can't build a compelling protagonist around someone fans can't rely on seeing. The most damaging aspect of this storytelling disruption is how it affects other talent. When WWE builds major storylines around Roman's sporadic appearances, they're essentially putting other wrestlers' career momentum on hold. Rising stars who could be developing their own compelling narratives instead find themselves in holding patterns, waiting for the tribal chief to return and advance stories that should have concluded months earlier. This isn't just inefficient, it's actively harmful to the long-term health of WWE's roster development. Now here's where things get really interesting, and this is something most fans don't fully grasp. WWE isn't the same company that signed Roman Reigns to his current deal. The acquisition by TKO Holdings has fundamentally changed how WWE evaluates talent, measures success, and justifies expenditures. And Roman's approximately $15 million annual contract is now being scrutinized through a completely different lens, one that prioritizes consistent returns over sentimental value. Under Vince McMahon's leadership, WWE operated more like a creative kingdom where personal relationships and gut instincts often trump pure business logic. McMahon could justify paying Roman Reigns superstar money because he believed in the intangible value of having a reliable main event draw, regardless of appearance frequency. But TKO Holdings answers to shareholders, quarterly reports, and corporate stakeholders who care about one thing above all else: sustainable, measurable returns on investment. Here's the brutal math that's keeping WWE executives up at night. Roman Reigns costs roughly $15 million per year but appears on maybe 20 to 25 shows annually. That breaks down to approximately $600,000 per appearance, and that's before factoring in production costs, marketing, and the opportunity cost of building storylines around someone with limited availability. Compare that to someone like Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins, who appear on nearly every show, generate consistent merchandise sales, and maintain constant fan engagement at a fraction of the cost. But the financial concerns go beyond just Roman's individual contract. WWE's new corporate structure demands scalable systems and predictable outcomes. When your highest-paid performer operates on an unpredictable schedule, it creates ripple effects throughout the entire business model. Marketing campaigns have to be adjusted on the fly, storyline investments become risky gambles, and long-term planning becomes nearly impossible. TKO's leadership team, focused on maximizing efficiency and minimizing waste, views these disruptions as systemic problems that need addressing. The timing of this corporate shift couldn't be more significant. WWE is currently experiencing record revenues, expanding into new markets, and building a roster deeper with talent than it's been in years. In this environment, the pressure to justify every major expenditure intensifies. While Roman Reigns undoubtedly brings value to marquee events, the question becomes whether that value justifies the cost when other performers are proving capable of drawing large crowds, generating merchandise sales, and maintaining consistent viewership at much lower price points. What makes this situation even more complex is that TKO's evaluation criteria extend beyond just financial metrics. They're also measuring social media engagement, streaming numbers, and global market penetration, areas where consistent presence matters enormously. Roman's sporadic appearances, while generating short-term spikes in interest, don't contribute to the sustained engagement that modern entertainment companies prize. In a business model increasingly dependent on daily content consumption and continuous fan interaction, part-time superstars become luxury items that are harder to justify, regardless of their historical importance or fan loyalty. Here's the most critical issue that WWE is desperately trying to solve behind the scenes. Roman Reigns is approaching the end of his career with an expected retirement around 2028, and the company has no clear succession plan for transitioning away from their most important star of the past decade. This isn't just about finding the next top guy, it's about managing the end of an era without losing the audience that Roman helped build. The succession crisis runs deeper than most fans realize because Roman Reigns didn't just become WWE's top star, he became their entire identity. For over 10 years, major storylines, WrestleMania main events, and corporate messaging have revolved around his character development and feuds. He's been the reliable constant that fans could count on, the performer who elevated every program he touched, and the face most associated with WWE's modern era. When someone occupies that central role for that long, their departure creates a void that can't simply be filled by promoting the next person in line. What's particularly challenging is that Roman's current part-time status is actually making this transition harder, not easier. Instead of gradually reducing his role and elevating others to fill the gap, his sporadic appearances create a stop-start dynamic that prevents other wrestlers from establishing themselves as consistent main event draws. Every time WWE starts building momentum around someone like Cody Rhodes, Gunther, or LA Knight, Roman's return shifts focus back to him, interrupting the natural progression that should be happening. The health factor adds another layer of complexity that WWE must navigate carefully. Roman's battle with leukemia, while currently in remission, creates an element of unpredictability that affects long-term planning. WWE rightfully prioritizes his health above all else, but this uncertainty makes it nearly impossible to create definitive timelines for his career conclusion. Without knowing exactly when or how Roman's career will end, WWE struggles to craft the perfect farewell storyline that his legacy deserves. But here's what gives me hope. WWE's current roster is actually better positioned to handle this transition than ever before. The company has invested heavily in developing multiple main event caliber performers who've already proven they can carry major storylines. Cody Rhodes' championship run has demonstrated that fans are ready to embrace new top stars. Gunther's dominance has shown that different character archetypes can succeed at the highest level. The infrastructure is finally in place to survive and thrive beyond the Roman Reigns era. The key will be in how WWE manages the final phase of Roman's career. They need to start telling his conclusion story now, while he's still healthy and motivated, and while potential opponents like Seth Rollins are still in their prime. A Shield reunion storyline culminating in a final showdown between Roman and Seth could provide the emotional closure that fans crave while simultaneously elevating Seth as Roman's successor. But this requires WWE to commit to a clear timeline and resist the temptation to extend Roman's career indefinitely just because he remains popular. So here's the bottom line. WWE's Roman Reigns problem isn't really about Roman Reigns at all. It's about a company struggling to balance respect for their biggest star with the practical realities of modern entertainment business. The storytelling disruptions, corporate financial pressures, and succession planning challenges we've discussed today all point to the same conclusion. WWE needs to make some difficult decisions, and they need to make them soon. The next 2 years will be absolutely critical. WWE must find a way to maximize Roman's remaining appearances while simultaneously preparing fans for a future without him. This means crafting meaningful storylines that can conclude satisfyingly, investing in the next generation of main event talent, and most importantly, managing expectations for what Roman's role will be moving forward. But here's what I find most fascinating about this entire situation. It might actually be the best thing that could happen to WWE. The company has become so dependent on Roman Reigns that they've been afraid to fully invest in anyone else. His gradual step back is forcing WWE to develop multiple stars, create diverse storylines, and build a more sustainable business model. In 5 years, we might look back at this period as the moment WWE truly evolved from a one-man show into a genuine ensemble product. What do you think WWE should do with Roman Reigns' remaining time? Should they rush toward a retirement storyline or try to maximize his part-time appearances for as long as possible? And more importantly, who do you see as the next face of WWE once Roman steps away? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your perspectives on these complex situations.